You're right. Afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the live stream. Obviously, AJ and myself are here to talk about obviously Transformers, the movies as a whole. If you're just coming into this, obviously we will be mentioning Rise of the Beasts. So if you haven't seen it, maybe hold fire on continuing in. Yeah, we'll try and not dive straight into that film because I'm sure there'll be a lot to talk about. But we shall.
Yeah, leave that till last.
Yeah, well, I say I kind of had a thought of like, shall we rank the films in our personal preferences, and then we can go from there to see what you liked and what you didn't like, and then we can dive into that.
Well, I've got my film series in front of me, so I'm gonna have to now lay them out.
Yeah, sorry, I should have prepared you for this, shouldn't
I? No, that one goes.
All right, there's no rush.
Oh, that's difficult, you know. It's pretty difficult.
I say we'll keep Rise of the Beasts out of it because technically it's not out, so we'll keep it out of the ranking. But I say I've rewatched all of them one after the other, so I've.
Okay, so let's keep Rise of the Beasts out of the ranking.
Yeah,
then.
Yeah.
Keep that out of it, and we can slot that in later.
Yeah.
So,
obviously, it does include all the live action and then the animated one as well.
Oh, all right. Okay, fair enough.
Sorry, I'm
no, that's
my
fine.
rules as I go.
That's fine. All right, I've got mine. I've got a ranking sorted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first then, or do you want me to go first?
Are we going to go? Do you want me to do all of them, or do you want to go my last, your last, my next, your next, like that?
You could do it one. Let's do it one at a time. Should we do it last to first?
Yeah. Go on then. You get. We'll let's raise them together. See how we like how we compare.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Last night. Okay, we're
all right. We're good then.
Okay, next one. 1, 2, 3.
Oh,
Revenge of. Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. Interesting.
Next one. 1, 2, 3. What the age of? Oh, you've got different covers to mine.
Yeah.
So I got Revenge of the Four. Okay, so we're not.
Yeah, so those two are swapped. Those two are. So here's where it starts getting awkward. But they're gone.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. No, you're off. Okay, Dark of the Moon. We've got Dark of the Moon. Yeah. This was.
I really enjoy this. I like this film a lot. I love it. I think it's really good. And this is where it started getting difficult to rank.
No. I recently watched all of them, and I was surprised how good that movie actually was. Rewatching it.
Yeah, I mean that wingsuit scene is phenomenal. I think that looks so spectacular when the soldiers dive out of the plane and come down between the buildings and that. It just looks, that stuff just amazes me. But there we go.
Okay.
The next.
Yep, 1, 2, 3. I know you would have rated this higher, so no, I knew that. Okay, number 2 then.
I just showed it.
Yeah, you got Bombay. I've got the original one.
But what I'm saying is those ones there anyway. Those, for me, the quality there between the ones that I took, like Age of Extinction, Dark of the Moon, and the first. There's not much between them. Do you know what I'm saying? So, depending on the day, and then obviously first place falls to the movie, Transformers, the animated film. It's quite a difficult ranking, really, because also when I look at Bumblebee, I look at as being it's unfair. I don't think it's fair me throwing that into that grouping because it feels like such a different beast, such a different sort of film than the others. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is part of the issue I had with Rise of the Beasts, but we'll come on to that.
No, I mean, I say rewatching it, and I like looked into some of the stats and stuff. Bumblebee's a very surprising movie because they started making it not shortly after the last night. It literally was the month afterwards, so they obviously had it planned already. But I said, like, it's all a bit weird because when you read up, it's like Michael Bay wasn't going to come back for the 5th one, and he comes back, and then they're making it. But while they're making it, they must have had, well, we're going to do Bumblebee. And I think they even say that Bumblebee was like a trial to see if they could reignite the franchise for a reboot.
Yeah.
So I was like, but you're kind of writing that while you're still producing the last film that you don't know if it will do well. And
well,
I think
it's very odd because when you got to, where were we at? Okay, so when you came to Dark of the Moon and Age of Extinction, the take-ins on these, the box office take-ins were huge.
Yeah.
If I'm right in thinking, I think Age of Extinction went over $1 billion.
I think they both did.
Yeah. And then obviously came The Last Night, which I don't know, was that about 350, 400 million? It was low.
Yeah. It had a budget, I think, of around 220, 230 and only made 600 million. What I looked from Wikipedia this week, so it didn't even make 3 times its budget, whereas the others just.
Although for any film to make 600 is still good, but I know that when you've got a franchise where the 2 prior ones are making $1 billion, and then you come in with half of that, you've got a problem. So you would think that Bumblebee would have been a reaction to that problem, so to speak. Yeah. Because had that gone on to make $1 billion, and then you give us Bumblebee, which is a completely U-turn in how you're doing it, do you know what I mean? It don't make so much sense. But there we go. We're not behind the scenes.
Yeah, no. I say, just a strange logic of looking at it of whose ideas were behind each thing and that stuff. But and as you say, even Bumblebee to Rise of the Beasts, it's a very different.
Absolutely, yeah. But it's and the animated movie is just a classic, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, well, because it's strange because obviously when I was revisiting it, I mean, I didn't watch it till I was 17, which is strange because obviously I was 4 when it came out.
Yeah.
So obviously I wasn't young enough, and I found this when I was looking with the toys and stuff like this, that I had toys, but they were all like not 87, 88, near the very end of Transformers. So obviously I was only getting into it then and didn't even know about the movie. And then I was a teenager, and I think, I don't know, I was talking to someone, and someone went, "Oh, there's a movie, Optimus Prime dies in it." And I'm like, "Is there?" And then obviously I watched it. So I was quite late to the party on all of this stuff. Yeah. I mean, I didn't get the reaction that I say when you look up and people, like kids, were complaining and crying because Optimus Prime had died. But I mean, like, they're quite ruthless in it. Like, they do. I mean, if you look at the kill count, they kill out loads and loads, which.
Of the OG ones, at the beginning, they do.
Because I mean, like, obviously you have everybody in the ship, and then obviously there's a load of Decepticons get destroyed in the battle on Earth, and then even during that battle, there's still like Wheeljack gets killed, but you don't mention him, and a few other ones that RC pulls a body and then looks, and there's Wheeljack just lying there. I was like, it's quite a ruthless thing for a kid's one.
It is, but they need to make space for them new toys.
I mean, it was toys. I mean, from what I read up is that it was their thought process. That's why they killed him off, and the bad reaction of that changed a lot of other stuff in a lot of animated movies. So when you rewatch the G.I. Joe movie, I know we get a bit off subject here, like Duke is supposed to die. When you see it, he gets stabbed in the heart, and literally they had animated it for that was it, he's dead, and they go, he slipped into a coma. And then at the very end, they're like, he's come out of a coma, but there's nothing for it. I was like, that's quite funny how someone's gone, oh, crap, we got to change this. So we got to change this now.
Wow. Crazy. So step, I know this is, when you're talking about the films there, but let's go back a bit. Let's go back. Right. So, because we're talking about the brand. So, obviously, the comic book. You had the cartoon series, which you've got all of them, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Of G1. I don't know how you go beyond that. Because with the cartoon series, it was Generation 1 for me, more than anything else. The original runs, when it came to Beast Wars and all that, I wasn't into it anymore. I'd stopped watching. You know, because I'd grown out of them, and it wasn't until later on in life where I then grew the appreciation back for nostalgic animation and things like that. You know, because you get to a point in life when you're growing up and you think, oh, that's kiddie, that's for kids. You know what I mean? You start seeing girls and all stuff like that going on. So yeah, so cartoon wise, how do you stand with all that stuff?
I mean, I like everything that they've done, but I mean, yeah, as I said, like I kind of got into it at the end of G1, or what is known as G1. I do have the other incarnations that they had, like Takara, and that brought out a few other ones, like Headmasters and stuff series. I've got them and I've watched them and they're okay. But I mean, I say, because I was a teenager in the 90s and started work, and that's when Beast Wars is out. So that was the one that kind of pulled me more in, because it was at a time where I was having my own job and I was earning money and I was buying like the VHSs and stuff like this, and then the toys were coming in, and because I worked at Tesco's, they were getting the toys in, so I was buying loads of stuff cheap. So it's just convenient for me. So that is kind of my main passion, which is why I was quite looking forward to this movie. But I do appreciate and do remember watching the cartoon. But yeah, I just think I was a little later to the party than everyone else was for my age range, so to speak.
Okay. And what about as a comic collector?
So for comics, it was, I probably found it like when IDW took it over and stuff, and then they started to do the spotlights and stuff, that's kind of caught my attention. So again, I'm quite later to the comics as well. It was kind of the cartoons, then obviously the CG animated Beast Wars, then like you say, went off women and stuff like that. And then I think when I started to get back into it a little bit, it's like, oh, I'm collecting comics, and you go to the comic store and it's like, oh, IDW are making series, picking ones out here and there. Yeah,
because I've pulled out of off my bookshelf. So obviously I know you got a couple of them, haven't you?
A few of the big ones, yeah.
Okay, so I actually collected all 100 issues of that. All right. £20 a month.
Yes.
£10 an issue, basically. So it's £1,000 spent on Transformers graphic novels, hardback graphic novels. So obviously I've got, and this runs through from obviously the Marvel era, which would be issue 1. I pulled issue 8 for a reason. We'll come on to that in a bit.
Okay.
So it ran through the Marvel era, which is that, and you had the Marvel UK and US stuff that was put into that. That's what comic books back there. I mean, look at the word count.
Yeah, massive.
Comics don't have words like that in anymore. You get through them in like 5 seconds and you're done. So it's like they reprint everything, and I grew up on these comic books. So as soon as Hachette Paperworks, or whatever they're called, Partworks, started releasing these, it was kind of a way for me to re-engage with the nostalgia part of that comic era. Because back then, when I used to read the comics, obviously I wasn't collecting comics per se. I was reading, and then whatever would happen to them would happen to them. So I never kept any of them older Transformer comics. So the intent was to only try and pick up the original Gen 1 era of Transformer comic. And that went about 20 issues of that, or thereabouts, ran for that. And then obviously after that, you had Dreamwave.
Okay, yeah.
The Dreamwave era. Transformers, Marvel done it but then no one had the rights or done comics for a long time. And then you had a company called Dreamwave that sort of came out, and the art was really nice in it. I really liked the colours. I really liked sort of the look of what they'd done with it. So I don't know if you was ever aware of them.
Yeah, I was aware of the bits, but because I didn't get much of the comic, that's why I thought I brushed up more on the movie side of things. I knew you'd know more about the comics. So
they had some great, I mean, the art in it was,
Oh yeah, Blitzwing and the Dinobots,
yeah, looked really good. And then obviously when we went on to the IDW era, which still pretty much continues now in every now and then. But I'll be honest, I actually have all of the Dreamwave and the IDW era in individual comics as well. and then they stopped this at issue 100, which was a good sort of stopping point with what IDW had done, but IDW still continued, obviously.
Yeah.
So that was yeah. So yeah, we'll get back onto the films, but I wanted to ask you a question. There's always one thing that intrigues me about Transformers, and that's this character here. A bit dusty.
Yeah, I know of him, but that's I want to say Death's in his name. No, I'm thinking Deathlock of Marvel. That's not. It's
Death. Oh, I had dusted it. I have got a boxed one as well. Death's Head.
Death's Head. I knew there was Death in it, but yeah, okay.
Death's Head. So this character here, is one character that intrigues me through the whole of Transformers, because I love the character anyway, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's why I pulled this one here. So Death's Head used to be a character in Transformers, Transformers UK.
Okay.
As you can see, there he is there. Different outfit. The blue came in later on in his own series. So what he was he didn't transform. He was a robot that was the size of a transformer, and he was a bounty hunter, right? Now, what the character itself, the rights to the character are retained with Marvel, because the way things would work is that if Marvel have the rights, had the contract to publish Transformer comics, but then when that license is lost, the Transformer comics then go back to Hasbro. Whatever Marvel's done goes back to Hasbro. So any characters that Marvel have created within the confines of that comic book belong to Hasbro. So what Marvel done was they done a one-page story for this character, which was that there. Where is it? That page there. That one page. No, where is it? It's where am I looking? There. That one page there. Right? And published it in the back of a lot of their comic books before he appeared in Transformers. So that way, the character wouldn't go with the Transformer comic over to back to Hasbro. Right? Then what happened was that Marvel also had the rights to Doctor Who.
Okay.
At the same time, right? Sylvester McCoy, Doctor Who. You might have seen the TARDIS when I was holding it up. Right? As you can see, there's a TARDIS there. Yeah. Right? So you had Death's Head, this character, meet up with
the Doctor.
Sylvester McCoy, Doctor Who. Yeah. Right? As you can see, he's massive. But the Doctor uses his sonic screwdriver that actually brings Death's Head down to human size, so that he's now no longer the size of a transformer. He's just standard size of a human. And from there on, he sort of went into Marvel Comics.
Okay.
And so he's a character created for Transformers who met up with Doctor Who that is now no longer licensed under Marvel either, to bring him down to size, and then into his own series. He appeared in a Marvel UK comic called Dragon's Claws, and then he had his own Marvel UK comic book as well, and just sort of went from there. So I think it's a really intriguing origin for a character to be created for one thing, and then done all this journey with him to bring him into a standard Marvel comic.
No, I mean, he looks a little bit like 2000 AD inspired. When you look at
the artists on it, Simon Furman and people like that. Those sort of individuals did work on. The Marvel UK lot artists did work on a lot of that sort of 2000 AD and things like that.
Yeah. Okay.
You can see it in the art. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
It's just I find it a really intriguing story for this character, and obviously he has met up with people like Iron Man and the Fantastic Four and all things like that, I do have the individual issues of that as well from back in the day when I was a lad. Just a cool character, but he didn't get much of a run. Do you know what I mean?
No.
And every now and then he does pop up, and they did actually do he had a complete change of how the character looked, where they created Death's Head 2, which was a brand new body, brand new look, but it was meant to be his consciousness inside a new robot.
Oh, okay.
And they did release a 6-inch figure of that robot under the when Guardians of the Galaxy 2 came out.
Okay.
I think it was, and it was formed part of the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 figure line, even though he's not in Guardians of the Galaxy. He just had one of them body bits in it that I think where you build.
Oh yeah, build a figure.
That was thrown one in. Yeah, like Sleepwalker was thrown into Doctor Strange 2 line.
Yeah,
just
with
to spell Sleepwalker. Yeah, but yeah, sorry, just a little aside on the comics there.
No, that's good. I say that's what we're here for, to discuss anything and everything of it.
Because you got the toys as well, if you want to discuss them.
Yeah, well, I brought a few toys in, but I thought I'll bring them out when and as we're talking to them. I haven't got. I tried to keep toys that were based on the films. So
okay, well, I've got 2 toys here, but they're not based on the films because they're just. I ain't got many Transformer toys.
No. Well, you've
You're
seen
the toy. You're the toy.
Yeah. You're the toy man.
Go on, carry on. Lead the way.
Yeah, I'll show a few of them. So obviously, this is currently they do a series called the Studio series, which are figures that are based on the movies, and they're all proportionate to each other. So this is Brawn. He comes from Bumblebee, so he's in Bumblebee for like 5 seconds on
on the
So I quite like this. Is what my wife got. This is what my wife got me for.
Yeah, that's cool. He's a classic character. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, like we've added of how I like Bumblebee. That first like 20 minutes or 15 minutes on Cybertron, where they're all battered and stuff, was amazing.
So do these ones, them ones there, do they transform or are they just robots?
Yeah. No, he transforms into a little drill. So where are we getting? So there's like the canopy of him. He kind of. Transforms into a little drill. His legs go underneath. I won't try and transform him because I'll probably muck it up.
Yeah, no, because I do have an Optimus Prime upstairs that doesn't transform. It's just in robot mode, sort of statue, not figure. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's cool. Yeah, I say that was the only one of Bumblebee I thought we were talking about. Then obviously I brought Optimus Optimal or Primal even.
Okay, all right.
So this is by Masterpiece, so this is quite an expensive figure. So like it's when you're trying to transform him. If I can, breaking it. Let's go there. Like you pull panels off like that, and you have to turn them around and then twist stuff up here and bend this bit. So it's quite complex. That's why they're worth loads of money. But
so now you have. I mean, obviously, I've had the pleasure of coming to yours. I've seen your collection firsthand, right? And you've got, I don't know, you must have well over 100 Transformers there.
I would suspect so, yeah.
Right. Can you remember how to transform all of them?
Some of them, I say, when it gets like the cheaper ones, these take a little time, but you know what to do. When it gets to the height, say what I called Masterpiece, which is what this is from. Yeah, I mean, I roughly figured out how to transform him, but it's really hard. Like you have like this bit, you have to change out, pull down for his waist, but then you've turned him around, and there's another chest piece that comes up over his head, and it's so pernickety. I normally only transform him once or twice because I'm just worried I'll break him.
See, as a kid, I liked, I always thought Transformers was a fantastic toy line for children to have, because it isn't just a case of, like for argument's sake, He-Man, you just open it up and you've got a man, a couple of weapons. With Transformers, you've actually got to do something. Yeah, you've got, I don't want to say skill, but you use your hands, you use your fingers, you're using your mind in what you're doing with them. And I always thought, as a toy, I'd always give him a thumbs up as a sort of almost an educational type of a element to them in that. Same with Zoids. Zoids was always the same. Yeah. In fact, you had to build them.
Yeah, and then wind them up.
And then they would go, and then you got your little your dinosaur, robot dinosaur, and all that. I like that element to it. I think it's great for kids.
Yeah.
Toy one. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just to say. So it's really interesting because if we obviously if we discussed like the series, like originally, like you had GoBots and then you had Transformers.
Yeah.
It's very interesting when you look at that. Like they came out around about the same time. It was the same concept.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only thing for Transformers that won them is the artwork. Like GoBots, the cartoon looks like the toys. It's one or two changes and that's it. Whereas like apart from I think Optimus Prime, where he changed and everyone else, they look so much better on the screen. And then when you get the toy, you're like, well, that's not the best looking two-step toy that you change. I think that little gimmick and that like going, well, we won't do it realistic. We'll try and make it a little bit more jazzy and make it better. And I think it's the studio that were doing it as well, animating it. They were, I think, mostly in Japan as well.
Yeah.
So,
have you got any GoBots?
No, I don't have. I am quite interested in picking some up, but I never come across them. I don't know if it was more American thing for the GoBots than it was for the UK.
I don't know. I remember. I think I had one or two. I think I might have had a motorbike.
Okay.
And the arms were the front.
Oh, Psykill, yeah. So he had like a dome head.
Yeah.
I know. He's like the leader of the bad guy. He was like the Megatron, wasn't he?
Yeah, I remember that. But I mean, I've only got two toys. I've brought down two toys, not film related, just because we're discussing the brand. And these are sealed because I don't open them. That's the thing. I'm like you open them. So obviously, I've got my Gigawatt.
Yeah, one I don't actually own, which is bad for a Back to the Future fan.
Yeah, obviously, as we know, IDW Comics done a crossover of Back to the Future with Transformers, and the car transformed in that, got the ability to transform, the DeLorean. So being a Transformer fan and a Back to the Future fan myself, I had to pick that one up. But they've also we've had this discussion, stepped into the realm, as you know, of Jurassic Park.
Yep.
You can get Jurassic Park Transformers, you can get Top Gun with the plane.
Yeah.
They've not done it. They've not, sorry?
There's an Ecto 1, isn't there, as well?
There is an Ecto 1, yes. They've not done a Starship Enterprise.
No.
But you have had the comic.
Yeah.
Transformers and Star Trek crossing paths. So so that's one that I've got sealed. And the other one, which probably won't surprise you, because I always wanted it as a kid, and you know what it is. My blaster. And obviously, from the animated film, which is when I first saw him. I always thought he was such a cool character that I had to, when I saw Blaster, I had to get it. I might get the, I might go for the Ultra Magnus, the white, the
white one,
the white looking Optimus Prime. In just the Optimus Prime in white, essentially, as opposed to the bigger thing, and I quite like that. But I do mean to keep opening this one up at some point and displaying it out of the box. But I'm so glad I got it. Sorry?
Does he come with any tapes?
Yeah, eject, that one there.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he's in there somewhere, down the bottom, I think. Yeah. But I just had to. I had to get that one. But no, I'm not. I don't. Yeah, toy wise, I don't really delve into that too much. But I'm always interested in. Do you know what I mean? I do look. There's just so many. And I've got my Prime, and I've got the Lego Optimus Prime that I still ain't built. That I was meant to have built ages ago. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. So well, I mean, there's so many toys out there and so many different lines and so much stuff. It's a minefield. I mean, I think just going back, rewatching them recently, I've started to go, oh, I want to buy this figure and just kind of complete little gaps in my collection. But they're all different sizes and stuff. But I mean, as Blaster is, I mean, Blaster and Soundwave were so popular back in the day, and it's like they were like your big, massive robot, but you transform into a little boombox. But I don't know, it just seems cool. I agree with you, though. Blaster is my favourite character.
Yeah, the size thing bothered me. It always did bother me how they could do that. but there you go. It's a cartoon, isn't it? You know, even Megatron shrinking down to the size of a handgun.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know. Yeah, I didn't like that, but there we go. But they were cool. They were cool little. And like I said, Blaster was just never one that I ever saw. I never saw the original Blaster available.
So yeah, no, I mean, I think I got one like from Toys R Us or something, but then I got like a set with him and Perceptor. They were like reissues, but they weren't the best made, and I think I ended up selling because I got obviously the whatever brand one I have. I should really have half of these out to show you, but yeah.
Well, you got loads.
yeah. So if I put Wi-Fi in the garage, I'd be able to do it from there, and then I could just go, here it is. As I knock half of them over.
Absolutely. So with the films, then, what's your what are your thoughts on the casting of your main leads of Sam Witwicky, Shia LaBeouf,
I mean,
Wahlberg.
I mean, I say rewatching them. Let's separate them out. So that like I even rate like the first three are still quite high on me. I think Shia LaBeouf was a good choice, which is funny because I mean, if you look at it from a very basic perspective, this one you have a teenage kid who gets picked on, they want a car, and they get Bumblebee. Like the rest of the film, but the initial plot of it, I was like, oh, that's quite funny. Rewatching that, I was like, it's very much like one, obviously with a lot of different twists and turns. But yeah, I mean, I like Charlie, but I didn't mind Megan Fox, even though she didn't really do a lot. She was, and that's the kind of repeated thing they like to bring in the eye candy throughout all of it, and that was I say it. I mean, I didn't mind Megan Fox leaving, and then they're bringing in Jason Statham's girlfriend at the time, that's now wife. I can't remember what her name is now. The blonde lady from Dark of the Moon. What is her name?
Yeah, I can't remember her name.
Rosie Huntington.
That's it.
Yeah, did not mind that. I did like Lennox, so that's Josh Duhamel. So he's the army guy. Yeah. I like them two in 1 and 2, and then they kind of disappeared and were brought in at Dark of the Moon. I thought that was a little weird.
Let me go scan the other room.
No,
because I'm at 10%, so I've got to plug this.
Okay, yeah, plug yourself in.
I don't need none of my stuff that I've got. I don't think anymore. But there we go.
It's like challenge editor.
Yeah. Should have charged it beforehand, but there we go. All right, cool. There we go. No, that ain't good. Give me 1 sec.
It's all right. Nobody's watching. We're all right.
What'd you say? No one's watching?
Yeah, we haven't had it. I think one person popped in and then left, so we're all right. They'll catch it later. It is a bit early because of obviously everything.
It is, yeah. It's work day as well, isn't it? There we go. That's better. So Josh Duhamel, I quite liked. Although he's older, he looks like Timothy Olyphant.
Yeah, those two do look, I do look. I think they do get confused quite a bit.
They do, yeah. I think there was a story where they met up. And they had a photo taken. So they were with their families. They met. They looked at each other. They started laughing, as people say that. Yeah. And then I think it was Josh Duhamel had his photo taken with Timothy Olyphant's family. Timothy Olyphant weren't in it. They sent the photo to Timothy Olyphant's mother, who had no clue that it wasn't him in the photo. I think the story went like, it was either that or the other way around. I can't remember what way around it was. But yeah, because I recently watched him in the film with Jennifer Lopez.
Shotgun Wedding?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just thought how much better it would have been if it was Timothy Olyphant.
Yeah.
Because I like Timothy Olyphant more than Josh Duhamel. But he was all right in the Transformers. He was quite good then.
I was saying, I was all right, except for I think, is it the last night? I was like, I think, or I don't know. I get the feeling of watching 1 to 5. So we'll take out Bumblebee, we'll take out everything else. Like he had a plan for like 1. It did really well. Then kind of every follow-up film, it kind of feels like he throws a lot of stuff together. Especially, I think when they get to 4 was very much like, right, well, we're going to go to Asia now, so we've got to have Asian actors and actresses, and we we'll have it in China or Hong Kong. And he goes, then adverts, we'll have the pill. We'll have, I think there was how many buses and buildings and stuff that got trashed that had logos just on the front of it. And I was like, has someone just thrown money at Michael Bay, going, you need to include this, this, and this, and make a story around all of it? Because that's what it felt like.
It did.
Even like whatever the material, I was like, are you joking?
Yeah, there was a lot of product placement. They're expensive films. I mean, not to knock them, the money's all up there on the screen. I can't. Do you know what I mean? I put Last Night in last place because it just feels such a fractured film.
Yeah,
it feels like there's no cohesiveness between it. Nothing. It's just scenes after scene that just they don't seem to blend together. It just seems to think things are happening, and then you jump somewhere else, and there's something else has happened, and somewhere else, and it just feels. I don't know what it was on at the time. I think that's the worst one for it. Age of Extinction, I didn't mind. And it was great to see the Dinobots finally.
Yeah, but it took. I mean, I think you didn't get to see much outside the trailer of the Dinobots.
No.
And then it was the fact of they brought them back in the last night at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then showed you baby versions. And then when they're like, oh, Quintessa's here, they brought every Autobot except the Dinobots with them. And I was like...
Yeah, I know. I didn't mind Mark Wahlberg going into it.
Cut. Yeah, Cade Yeager. I think his character.
That's right. Yeah. Who has a name? What name? I had no issue with that. Shia LaBeouf, I thought, was very kinetic in his performance. Mark Wahlberg was Mark Wahlberg, and I quite like Mark Wahlberg anyway. So I said no issue there with that whatsoever. Now, when they announced Bumblebee, I did like the casting of Hailee Steinfeld. I think she's a fantastic actress. She brings. I mean, it's the most personal story. Obviously, it's smaller scale.
Yeah.
You ain't got many robots in it, apart from that opening scene. The primary story. It's very emotional, very grounded. Stuff with her and her dad and all that, and the two of these, her and Bumblebee, having to come together and help one another get over stuff.
Yeah.
And move on, and then separate at the end because, well, they both fulfilled what they need from one another essentially, and they were strong enough to then go their separate ways. I think it's a really nice little emotional journey that they go
on. No, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, it was, I think, helped that it was a small cast as well. I mean, I even like John Cena. I thought he was quite funny as the recon guy at the beginning, where he keeps shooting his mate with this gun's defective, and I don't know if you remember that bit. The paintball.
Yeah, I do. I only watched Bumblebee the other day.
I agree with you. Which is interesting. They spent all that time and effort to do this solo movie, and then a new trilogy is coming off of it, and you did Rise of the Beasts. I don't know. I've done a review for Rise of the Beast, but I had very mixed emotions, and I came out feeling that something was missing. And I put the Bumblebee issue in there, but I still think I need to give it a second watch. I feel like. Should
we talk about Rise of the Beasts?
Yeah, we're 40 minutes in. We might as well.
Yeah. So if anyone is watching on this will enter into spoilery territory now, because we might as well have a proper discussion. You've seen it, I've seen it, so why not? Yeah. And if anyone's so let's go. Where should we start?
I don't know. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't. I mean, it took element. I'm saying like this is why I don't know. Obviously, it's different people. I don't know if someone who was given a reins and this is all a setup for 2 other movies.
Wait, first off, before we get, tell me where would you put it in your ranking?
See, I would definitely have put it after Dark Side of the Moon. It would.
When you say after.
Hang on, so let me get my order now. Let me put them back in order, and then I can Dark of the Moon, Bumblebee. So that would be my list there. It would probably go above these 2, maybe even. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I do like rewatching Dark Side of the Moon. I think maybe there.
Okay, yeah, it's probably the same place as mine.
Oh, actually, no, that's Revenge of the Fallen. Ignore me. It goes above Revenge of the Fallen. Dark Side of the Moon.
So mine would, the ones below mine would probably be definitely The Last Night, which falls in bottom, and potentially Revenge of the Fallen would go below it. I haven't watched Revenge of the Fallen for a while. I'd need to watch it again. I didn't have a lot of the issues most other people had with Revenge of the Fallen.
Okay.
I still thought it was quite a visually impressive movie. All the sort of racial stuff in it that people kicked off about, it didn't really bother me in the least. Where the robots were, sort of,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's quite a low down film in the franchise for me.
No. Yeah, I mean, I need to give it. I mean, as I said earlier, obviously I'm a big Beast Wars fan, so I had high expectations. But then a bit like the Dinobots, apart from what you see in the trailer, they don't really have too much more to do. I think Air Razor and Primal have a little bit more, and Cheetah scares Bumblebee. Is it Bumblebee? Or might scare Mirage? Mirage, yeah. That's literally all they do outside of the trailer. And I was like, well, you've called it Rise of the Beasts, but they don't really do a lot. And that's what it kind of shocked me more than anything. But then with the whole kind of glimpse in Unicron, but not, I'm like, is this all a setup for something more? Because, I mean, they took the concept of Bumblebee, let's start the movie on another planet. And I'm assuming if it's like the animated Beast Wars, they're actually from the future. I'm sorry if I'm spoiling this for you, if you didn't know.
No.
Yeah, so they're from the future, but obviously, and this is the whole future, and they've travelled back in time to Earth.
Yeah, I know they come after Prime.
Yeah,
I know because they do say that in the they do allude to it. So let's talk about some of my issues with it. All right, and I'm going to be, I don't know, am I going to be nitpicky? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, I felt like all the goodwill that Bumblebee done was ejected.
Yeah.
And we were given another film that you could pretty much take Bumblebee out of the equation completely and stick this film on the back of The Last Night. And you wouldn't be missing anything. Other than the fact that it's set in the past, set further back, I wouldn't really be missing anything whatsoever. Not having Bumblebee there. Okay, so they set it on an alien planet at the beginning.
Yeah.
Why do they turn into gorillas? And
yeah, that is another thing that I mean.
Optimus Prime doesn't turn into a truck on Cybertron.
No.
So a Cybertronian type of a vehicle. So why are they on an alien planet and turning into Earth creatures?
Yeah. Well, I imagine that's probably what should have been explained in this movie. But maybe let's send it up for the next one. I mean, but I get where you're coming from. It's because they mentioned about the future. I'm like, well, are they gonna? How is this going to tie in? And that's the thing I don't know. If this was this was just to show you some of the characters, and then the next one will be a bigger, because it was quite a small. I think it's the shortest film apart from Bumblebee.
I think it's 2 hours and 7 minutes.
Yeah, rewatching all of them, Yeah, when I rewatched them all, I was like, the first one I was like 2 hours and like 35 minutes. I was like, they're quite long films. You forget how actually long they are.
Yeah, they are. They are. So here's another question. What's your... So you had Wheeljack in the film.
Yeah, I didn't like his. I mean, I said they went a little different way with, like, even with Stratosphere. Like, I didn't even know he was going to be in it, and obviously he is that kind of sort of plane. But I would have liked some more explanation, because obviously, if this is a follow-on from Bumblebee and everybody shut off, surely when they've met up, there's got to be some, Prime obviously got them all here, and this is what we're going to do and not. And it just seems that they've just all, or as Mirage says, they've all been in hiding.
Yeah. So am I right in thinking, I am right in thinking, I know, that we actually saw Wheeljack at the beginning of Bumblebee on...
Yes, we did see him in his Cybertronian, where he had the
comic book look.
Princess Leia.
The cartoon. Cartoon version, like they all were. They look like how they're meant to look. So now we come to this film, and they've given him a Michael Bay-esque design.
Yeah, that is with Michael Bay. I mean, if you watch, like, the costumes change, the designs change. I mean, Megatron gets a new design all the way throughout, and even we go sidetrack, but even like Age of Extinction, he's Galvatron, and then magically he's back to Megatron in a different costume, and none of it's explained. And I was like,
I know it's silly.
Yeah,
but this is my point: is you had Bumblebee, which set up all this goodwill with the fans, because they gave you this Cybertronian opening where these Transformers actually looked like their cartoon counterparts, which is what people always wanted.
Yeah.
The fans always wanted. And now you give us Rise of the Beasts, and with some of the characters, all right, RC looked like RC. I can't take that away from her. Mirage was Jazz.
Yeah.
Right? But Wheeljack was turned into a... whatever they turned him into, Volkswagen, bloody Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle type van. It was just that itself, I found. It's like, this goodwill that you've created, you're just peeing it away.
No. I mean, as I say, even with the Rise of the Beasts, I know I was quite positive in my review. As I say, this is why I think I need a second, because it's just...
Yeah, but I'm not. I don't want to detract from your enjoyment of it, because a lot.
No, you're not. I mean, I did a light visit, but you do make valid points, and there weren't. I went in there, and I think the first half an hour I was quite happy with it, up until after they got to the museum bit, because obviously, then spoiler alert, here, B dies, and I've got a video coming out tomorrow complaining about stuff like this. But
see, I thought when Bumblebee died, right. When he was killed at the beginning, I thought, okay, all right, that's surprising. I'm on board with that. I quite like that, because Bumblebee's always been front and centre of the franchise, more so than a lot of other characters. So it was quite all right. Okay, I know he had his own film before and whatever, but it's quite a refreshing take to have this character taken away, kill him, and you've introduced Mirage as the sort of new central character, the human friend character, which I quite liked. Forego the fact that he's Jazz, and in car he's Jazz, but no issue with that. But I thought that was I thought I liked that idea.
Does he get to stay dead?
Which just and it's like, okay, bring him back later on down the line in the next film or something, fine, but have the conviction to stay with what you do. Try and shock. Do you know what I mean? Try and just create a bit of shock, like, oh my god, Bumblebee's dead, and they didn't bring him back in that film. He's still dead. Do you know what I mean?
No, yeah. I mean, I think I said about, like, it should have been Mirage, because Mirage kind of got killed or mortally wounded at the end of the film anyway. I'm like, well, do it, and then the last survivor bit of him clamps onto the human, and that makes sense why he's that suit, because That's the remaining part of him. But yeah, it's, I mean, if you take out The Last Night and Bumblebee, and you start from the very first film, you had 5 Autobots come to Earth. Obviously, Prime, Bumblebee, Jazz, Ratchet, Ironhide. Then you go through the movies. Movie 1, Jazz dies. Movie 2, Prime dies. Movie 3, Ironhide dies. Movie 4, Ratchet dies. And they say Bumblebee till now. It's like you've killed off every single member in a row. But then when they were like, oh, we can bring B back, he's all right, he's in the power mode. I'm like, well, why didn't they do that with Jazz?
Yes.
In 2 bits, you could have just reattached him and...
Well, this is it. And even Mirage.
Yeah.
And then he's rebuilt at the end by Matey in the film. Who, again, like I said to you, you know, conveniently, he's good with tech.
Yeah.
He's good with mechanics or whatever. Just like Mark Wahlberg's character is in the films that came before. And this is the other issue I had with this film, is that I never engaged with either of these two, the human element in this film. Neither of them done anything for me whatsoever.
Okay.
And then you got some really bad lines of dialogue. I can't pinpoint the lines that Optimus Prime comes out with that are just cringe at, but especially towards the end of the film when the boy's on the phone to his little brother.
Oh yeah.
And his little brother's giving him this speech and saying to him, "You're so and so from something Avenue, apartment 2C," and yeah, and I'm just like, oh my God, what are they? You know, who writes this crap? Yeah. Who says that? Who comes out with that nonsense? No one.
Well, I thought the funny thing to that is you had that monologue, which obviously they're broadcasting around the world, and then at the end he went for the job interview, and they're like, "You know what I've been up to? You know who I am?" And I'm like, "Well, did you just promote it like earlier in the film?"
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't mind that male character. Yeah, I thought his brother was a little bit whiny. I'm glad they got the medical treatment and there was some recognition. The woman, I say, she was all right at the beginning, but once she left the wherever it was, the museum, I just was like, and then when they did the kind of AVP, like, oh yeah, you're with the Autobots now, and you can turn the console off, and when there's a Decepticon after you, you can defeat it. And I was like, you mean these evil robots who are like designed to be super strong and stuff, and this middle-aged or probably young woman can just stab one in the head and kill it? I was like,
so that's the other thing, right? They go through this, you know, they've got the you know, you got your sky beam and all that.
Yeah.
And there's that talk where they do the hologram layout of the base.
Yeah.
And you know, someone says, "Why can't we just blow it up?" or something like that. And then Optimus Primal says, "Oh no, it's, you know, that's the power of a supernova. An explosion would be, you know, basically off the scale." So then what happens at the end?
It blows all up.
They blow it up, and it's just like a mountaintop everything gets sucked, some stuff gets sucked into it, but it's basically a mountaintop that explodes. Where's this huge, you know, so you go back to start thinking, well, why didn't you just blow it up? I know they wanted the key to get home and all that, but do you know what I mean? It's like you've got lines like that, and then it just leads to, well, it did just blow up, and nothing. No. And like I said, the other thing is you got, you know, I mean, it was great to see Unicron. I loved seeing Unicron and eat the planet. It was like the cartoon come to life, the movie. But then, you know, you got this sky beam and you got Unicron coming through it. And then I'm thinking, hold on a minute. In one of the other films, you got Cybertron being pulled through above Earth. And that's Age of Extinction, isn't it? Because it starts affecting the gravity and all that. Is that the one that was in?
I think The Last Night, Quintessa brought Cybertron to Earth, and then that clump spits everywhere, and obviously.
That's right. Yeah, I knew it was in one of them. So you've got essentially the same thing happening again. The same ending of the film. Big planet coming through. Both are going to destroy Earth. You know, Cybertron coming through would destroy Earth. Oh, Unicron coming through would destroy Earth. It's the same ending. I had issue with that.
Well, we got one person watching, John.
Hiya, John. How you doing?
He's asked what's more cool than Marvel or DC. I'm not sure if DC did Transformers, but
I think he just means in general.
Ah, okay. And then he's got what movie has the best looking front cover on it?
Well, for Transformers?
Yeah.
Go on. I think Marvel and DC, who's cooler, is dependent on the era that you visit. Because I used to flip between the two. But overall, I'd probably say Marvel. I was always a Marvel person. But I think it depends on where you fall, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was always a Marvel. I was quite late into it. And I mean, it was more Batman and that who kind of got me into DC. But yeah, I would probably agree with you, Marvel. What movie is the best front cover? I would just go with that one. But I did buy yesterday the 4K version of this. So I could go with that one. But I can't, because I like the animated style anyway. And I'm a big anime fan. And that's
cool. Mine are in the other room.
Yeah.
I'd have to go and get them. But I think because mine are all that, you know, that black and white sort of almost wall art spray looking image, aren't they?
I was going to say, I don't think I've got anything that matches.
Let me have a look. Wait there. All right, so out of the ones that I've got here, I would have to go with that one.
Okay, 4K. Grimlock. Okay, yeah, Grimlock from Age of Extinction. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just a cool. I like that. That was the one that got me to get these releases. That was the first one I got because I thought I really like that. Yeah, and I like Grimlock. He's a great character.
Yeah.
And then because the others are just like, I mean, that sort of thing.
Yeah, Prime and
that one's not. Last night one was not too bad. But yeah, the Grimlock one for the ones that I have on 4K. Yeah.
Okay. He's got a few more questions, but we'll answer them in a bit. We'll go back to Rise of the Beasts.
Yes.
Well,
so the action in it. The action in it done nothing for me either. I felt that it was all. I mean, you know, it didn't feel as eventful, as impactful as what Michael Bay used to give you. Didn't feel as big scaled as that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no. I mean, Michael Bay is very good with his explosions and stuff. I mean, I think I liked the bit so Bumblebee and Rise of the Beasts. I liked the villain characters. I thought they were a bit more impactful than maybe some of the later ones. Specifically, obviously, like Shatter and Dropkick. So the triple changes from Bumblebee.
Yeah.
And then obviously we had Scourge. I'm going to get my name right. I think Tailgate or Trunk or something is the bulldozery one. And then Nightbird, who was the plane woman.
Yeah, see, I like the designs of their, you know, of their the Decepticon, or they weren't, you know,
Terracons. Come on,
yes, the Terracon. I like the designs of the vehicles that they chose for them, but then they're barely in the film.
Yeah,
and then when they do go into their Transformer mode, like Scourge, again they've stepped away from that comic book look.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought the whole point of Bumblebee was, to introduce that comic book look. And you've stepped aside from it again. You rejected it for some reason. I don't know. Maybe that was... I don't know why they would do that. But it just feels like they rejected that for...
I mean, I don't know. I mean, when...
Oh, I've lost you.
Yeah, no, I would like you. I mean, if you can... Oh.
Who's breaking up, me or you?
Up. You're breaking up on mine. I'm, but hopefully it's not.
What? I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
yours or mine? Yeah, I can see you.
Yeah, I am here.
Oh.
You there?
I can see you now. I think you. Oh, yeah.
Whose is it? Mine or yours?
Yeah, well, we like a few technical difficulties.
Oh, there we go. Let's have a look.
We're all back now.
Good. Are we? Yeah, that seems all right.
Yeah. I think.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, you are at a little bit of a thing.
Nah, go on.
Shall I drop you out and drop you back in? Let's see if it'll remove you. Like a DVD, like turn it off and turn it back on.
I don't know. Yeah, see, I don't know. Is that all right?
That's all right. You're a section behind, but it should be fine. Yeah, look, I'm sure it'll sort itself out.
Yeah, what was I saying?
Yeah, you were saying the villains, they weren't in it very long.
Well, they weren't. No, you didn't see their vehicle modes very long.
Yeah, and the vehicles,
and they've and like I say, and they stepped away from what Bumblebee promised to now give you these Terracons that look nothing like in their robot form, look nothing like their cartoon. Well, Scourge, I know. Scourge, obviously, I know, but the other ones I wouldn't have known of anyway. But I'm assuming they don't look anything like what.
Yeah, Nightbird is, as far as I remember from the G1 cartoon, is actually a ninja. She isn't even a proper kind of transformer. She's just a kind of humanized size transformer. He's a ninja. And the other one, his name's been used before, but I don't recall it. But yeah, it does seem, I say, like when you go back and watch the cartoons, it's very much like evil robots versus good robots, them fighting each other with the humans just thrown in to kind of add the story. Whereas the live actions are very much, let's make it a lot more about the humans than the robots. And I think this is where you give the humans a bit too much time. Because, I mean, well, that's what we want to see. We want to see robots fighting each other. I mean, even the fact of, I think it was Dark of the Moon, where they had all their ships. I was like, where will these ships magically come from? I know they were all on the moon, but when do Transformers need them if they can fly in space and transform into ships themselves? I mean, I assume it's for visual effects. I said, and like you've rightly said, like Cybertron, when they fight each other, just give us that on Earth, for a little bit of story in there. That's what we want to see, and probably be more than happy to see that.
But yeah, I mean, I'd like to see him do a full Cybertron.
Well, yeah,
I don't know why they wouldn't do a full Cybertron shock movie. Even if it's them returning to Cybertron with with a couple of humans.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can easily create an element that there's, I don't know, you ain't got to have the humans in spacesuits all the time. You can write something. They can do something and give it, say that there's air or something. I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can have them as headmasters if you remember that from the cartoon. So yeah. So you could kind of have them inside their chests when they're transformed and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I think from aliens from space. Why has it always got to be on Earth? Why is everything on Earth? The Allsparks on Earth, Unicrons on Earth, the Crystal to tell them. Like, why is everything always on Earth? There's other planets out there, as we saw at the beginning of Rise of Beast, but then they blew it up. So, So,
yeah, it's I don't know. It's I don't know. Where would you like to see him go next then with it?
Oh, so yeah, I mean,
they're all becoming the same. They're all very samey.
Yeah, like when I thought they were going to do more on the beast sides, we were going to get to see have that journey of the beasts leaving their planet, going towards Earth, hiding in Earth, and then having them being discovered. And that key, they could have made that as a 3-part film. They could have made it at the end of one. You actually found the first part of the key. Then you tease Unicron, and then that's the big bad guy for number 3. Let's do Avengers. Let's build up to this big planet-sized creature, and that we're after this key, and that obviously when the key opens, he will come into our space, and then there could be like it when not live action, the animated one.
Well, this is it. I mean, you've got the whole backstory of in this of the beasts themselves, you know, with the fact that they've been hiding out in the forests, you've got those people that looked after the key and kept their, you know what I mean, and they've sort of helped the human race over the years from the shadows, so to speak. There's a far more interesting story there to tell than giving us a rehash of what we've already had.
Yeah.
You know, this film could have been set further back in the past with goings on, and these are helping. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Helping these people, you know, who live this sort of basic lifestyle and all that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? There could have been something far better to do there than just rehash what we've had.
You know, I mean, maybe they should have taken the idea from the first night, because I know when they were doing that, they liked World War II and they liked King Arthur, and that's why those themes were in there. But I'm like, it made no sense at all.
No, it doesn't. When were they around during World War II? Bumblebee arrived.
I know it was an IDW series where they kind of reinvented them as kind of in those eras. But yeah, I don't remember. I mean, the fact that he doesn't remember it, I'm like, but you saw him leave Cybertron on the beginning of Bumblebee with everyone else. You can't tell me that he's then.
I've got a comic book series upstairs, right, of Bumblebee, which is a prequel to the movie.
Okay.
It acts as a prequel to the movie, and it's Bumblebee on Earth in London during like 1960s.
Okay.
Right. And I've done a photo. I think I've done a photo of it. It's on one of my shorts, actually, where I showed that and then showed Bumblebee to release the film. And I was looking at it, I was thinking, how does this work? You know, did the writers of this comic not have any idea what the film was going to be like or what the story of the film was? Because Bumblebee comes to Earth. He comes to Earth in Bumblebee. Yeah. So how have you got a comic series that's set in the 1960s,
when he
sort of James Bondy kind of a thing, with spies and that, with Bumblebee in it? How have you got these Transformers during World War II when in the earlier film when, you know, Michael Bay film? Because Michael didn't care about. Are you right?
Yeah. He just tapped out for a second. It's all right.
Oh, Michael Bay didn't care about the bloody, you know, what goes on between one film and another of his.
Yeah.
He'll kill Megatron off, like you said, and then Megatron's back in the next one.
Yeah.
And no answer as to why or how he's come back.
Yeah, no.
There we go.
Well, Matt's in.
Hi, Matt. How you doing?
He's our one viewer now.
People will catch it on catch up.
Yeah, that's all good. Okay, I know you've not seen Rise of Beasts, so maybe we'll try and switch off that movie, so not to ruin anything for Matt.
Yeah.
So I've got 4 other figures, and obviously they're from a favourite too. So I'll see what your impression of Lee's characters. So it was the ice cream truck, Muds and Skid Flap. If you remember these from 2, which
I remember. Yeah,
the kind of Lee's guys.
Yep.
What was your, obviously Lee's got quite a lot of hate, like Jar Jar Binks did, I think, from Star Wars.
Because of the racial connotations that they and the way they acted between one another. It felt like I don't know how I'd feel now so much. I mean, there was an annoyance to elements of them, and I think that I felt like I was being played down to with characters like that, like I'm being spoken down to or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like my IQ should be considerably lower to be watching and enjoying characters like that, if that makes sense. Like it's talking down to its audience.
Okay.
That's how they came across to me.
So I found them just as funny, silly things. I didn't really take any what they said was serious. But I mean, from what I've read behind the scenes, obviously, because Steven Spielberg was I think, executive producer on it, that the faces, if it doesn't pick it up, they're loosely based off Gremlin designs.
Yeah, you can see that.
Yeah. So I just assumed that was it. It's interesting.
Yeah, I just feel that they're thrown in. I don't know if they're thrown in more for the children element, kids to sort of latch onto. I don't know. I'm guessing so. So you're probably where I say about being spoken down to about IQ level and that. I think it's more okay. That you're aiming at that younger quotient of viewer with characters like that to gravitate towards.
Cool. Matt's got a few other questions for. Have we both watched The Fast? I haven't, but AJ has. Obviously, we'll get to find out in a few weeks. Everyone's opinion.
I watched it.
He got and really enjoyed JW4 last night.
John Wick.
Okay. And they're doing 5. They've announced it.
Yeah, apparently
Spoilers.
So. Hopefully, it'll be about 90 minutes long.
Yeah. Well, he's killed. I thought he's killed everybody. Surely they'd have to set it in the future so everyone that's dead, the kids can grow up and he's got someone else to kill.
I just watch it and all right. I mean, I said this in my review. It's a well-crafted film. I can't knock how the film is made. The choreography is fantastic. My interest just wanes when I've got no story. When the story's lacking and all I'm looking at is action after action after action. In this film, I started watching background actors. As fights were going on, I was sat there watching what other people were doing in the background. Because I got more intrigue out of that, looking to see if there was any cuts that I could see in the fights. The positioning of people in the background and the dancers in one scene. Because it's just too monotonous. It's monotonous fighting. And for 3 hours that the film's length it certainly is overstretched. It's an overstretched John Wick film. And you can tell when you rewatch it, there's long periods of time where nothing's happening. Not even story. That's what I'm saying. Not even story or character. Because John Wick ain't really got no character to it. It's just it's a slog. It's on the second viewing. I turned it off on the second viewing. And I tried watching it a second time. I switched it off. It just wasn't in the mood for 3 hours of that.
I've only watched it once. So I thought, I'm a little bit the same like you. And you just say Donnie Yen is fantastic. Donnie Yen is good. I still feel his character was very similar to the one in Star Wars. He's a blind guy, but he can kick ass. I'm trying to think of what his name was in John Wick now.
Blind guy.
Yeah. He had a name because they were talking about a spin-off. And even I think, having a blind guy having a pistol fight at the end. Yeah. 4 hours. Okay, he's got a few more. We get off subject. We'll quickly go through these. Yeah, but that's just John Wick.
It did on the first viewing.
Yeah.
On the first viewing, it did, but I felt the length, but it was on the second viewing. It's more noticeable.
Yeah. It's 4 hours next time.
No, I can't do just.
It'd be a 2-parter, wouldn't it?
This was meant to be a 2-parter.
Yeah.
I can't do just continuous action. I need something. I need a bit of depth. I need a bit of character. I need narrative to flow to take me through the story.
Yeah. I think watching most of the Transformers back to back was a bit of a bad idea.
Yeah, there's another film. I remember when I'd done I was doing for one of my videos, and I was like, hold on a minute. I thought there was another one. Didn't Mark Wahlberg do 3? I was saying this sort of thing in a video. I'm sure he done 3. Don't make sense because they were rolling into one in my mind, or they were separating in my mind. Same as the Fast and Furious films do that for me, and I would say John Wick would do now. They would fall under that category of I can associate Halle Berry with the third one.
Okay, yeah, with the dogs.
Yeah. But yeah, there's very difficult to, imagine trying to describe each John Wick film to someone who ain't seen them.
Yeah, it's kind of like his dog gets killed and his car gets nicked and he goes and kills everybody. That's one.
Yeah, which is fine. And then
Two,
after that, they
yeah.
become quite sort of difficult. You're explaining the same concept.
Yeah.
The dog the dog was nothing more than a metaphor for his wife.
Yeah, no, definitely.
That's all it was. So his wife has already passed away, so we'll kill the dog. It's the same. It's taking the same story as we'll kill his wife.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? The dog was nothing more than a metaphor for his wife.
Yeah. No.
And that sent him on the killing spree because the dog came from his wife.
Yeah.
So he might as well have killed the wife. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's just right. Let's try and switch it back to. I'll turn that comment off. Let's try and go back to Transformers as we diverted a little off the subject there. What would you like to see then in future Transformer films?
A break. No, I just feel cheated. I'd like to have seen what Bumblebee promised. A new take, a new direction. Like I said, you can take Bumblebee out of that. Bumblebee feels like an outsider now. You know, line all these films up. You line them all up, right? And they're not in order. But you line them all up. Bam, 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 bam. Bumblebee. Rise of the Beasts. You do that. Rise of the Beasts. What have you lost?
Nothing. Yeah, it all is the same. Yeah, you are right.
You got no, it's almost like Bumblebee is a standalone movie. And it almost feels like they've rejected what they set up in that.
Yeah.
To me. That's what it feels like. It just feels like, that it's not a continuation of this. Yeah. It's a continuation of that.
Yeah, well, I suppose.
Yeah. And let's be fair, Michael Bay wouldn't give a toss anyway. He would have done that.
Yeah.
He would have jumped from that one to another one set 30 years ago and not bothered about giving any explanation to it. Because he's happy to do stuff between these where there's no explanation given as to, hold on a minute, you've killed Megatron. But now he's back and he's fine.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He just goes out the window with that guy. But yes, I'd like to have seen, them keep with their convictions of this is the look at, we're giving you the cartoon on screen. We're giving you a live action cartoon in the sense that these characters look like, I got no issue with the Mirage now becoming becoming the Porsche like Jazz. I got no issue with those sort of switch arounds. I did take issue with him turning into a garbage truck.
Okay, I assumed that was his hologram ability. But
I did consider that element, but they should have shown it.
Okay.
Because it's more implied that he's transformed into it.
Yeah.
At which point I now start questioning size, and my mind does go back to Soundwave could shrink down in the films to the size of which is stupidness, but they rejected that from.
Yeah, obviously it was
from the earlier films.
Yeah, because he's a space satellite. Yeah.
Which makes more sense. But now, there's the possibility of Mirage, did he change size into this garbage truck? I should have shown him sort of wop, and give this a mirage of a garbage truck over him.
Cool. We've got another viewer now. Luke's film. his favourite movies and 1, 2, and 3. Can't beat the movies and not. Yeah, we both really hate his movie as our top choice. So that's
But the ranking weren't far off one another.
Yeah, so it's probably little bits here and there. I mean, I think the only thing I think put Revenge of the Fallen a little further down was the humanoid transform, and a few other little bits like that was a little strange. But again, but again, it's probably like I think the very first scene, obviously, Megan Fox is strewed over the bike. You know, she doesn't really do a lot throughout the whole movie, but just there for eye candy. And this girl was probably there, the same as I think is it Vivian from The Last Night? So the Oxford professor, which plays hockey, and it's just like you look at it, and you're like, really? You're like she can play hockey, knocks over loads of cars, and then tells everybody history's rubbish.
Yeah,
and then all Carl Yeager is throughout the whole film is going, "Oh, your sexy accent," or you know. So.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I mean, I didn't even think Anthony Hopkins was that. Him and Cogmat, and I didn't really like those two either too much, and a French hot rod.
Yeah, see, this is you know why.
Well, the actor who plays Hot Rod is French, but even he had to put on a more French-sounding accent to sound like Hot Rod, which didn't make sense to me.
No, at least they didn't go with Hot Rod taking over from Prime.
Yeah,
they didn't do that. You know.
But they did play the touch in Bumblebee. At least that was a nice little homage.
They did.
Yeah.
And they did mention Marky Mark in
the Funky Bunch.
Yeah.
The Rise of the Beast, wasn't it? Yeah, when he's driving along.
Yeah, he was mentioned.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I don't mind little bits like that. I did also think in The Last Night they had there's the big book that Anthony Hopkins slams on the desk and goes like, "You're the descendant of Merlin," and then he shuts it, and it's the Wiccans, and I was like, so it's a Wiccan and a Witwicky, but I was like, the Witwickies were only involved because his granddad happened to find. I think it was his granddad happened to find the glasses in one, if memory serves me right.
That's right, yeah, and the thing was.
So if this is predated from Arthur, then surely that shouldn't come into it. But it's just a cheesy reference, ain't it? To just have little bit pops at each other.
This is it. Like I said, you know, don't matter. Michael Bale do what he would. Yeah, when he was on it, when he was heading it, he would do what he wanted. He'd be damned with continuity. That just didn't come into play. It didn't matter. No.
Okay, so there's a little follow-up question. So obviously, we both kind of would like to see a Cybertron animated film.
Well, live action.
Sorry, yeah. If they would,
it would be animated, though, wouldn't it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
I
wouldn't mind this film series going to Cybertron.
Yeah,
let's go back to Cybertron for some reason. Take a couple of humans with them because you do need that human element. I wouldn't mind that.
Okay, if you could redo Rise of the Beasts and have it as Cybertron, would you want them to start before Bumblebee and then have the film like halfway? So you learn all about why they're fighting, then like halfway point, they all eject to Earth, and then we go on? Or as you say, would you you're just happy for them to return to Cybertron rather than know what happened before Bumblebee, so to speak?
Well, I wouldn't mind either, actually. I mean, you know, obviously you'd have to be happy with the ejection of any human element if you're going to, you know, a prequel to Bumblebee, a film, you know, 90, 100-minute film, all computer animated as they do in the films, and that story leading up to them leaving, or even that could happen, you know, Bumblebee leaving and the others leaving could occur, you know, halfway through the film.
Yeah.
But you ain't got to follow Bumblebee. You know, you see that stuff happen and you're like, as a viewer, like, okay, well, that's the beginning of Bumblebee there. But then your narrative stays on Cybertron with Optimus Prime and what else is going on there and the continuation of Prime until, you know what I mean, he then gets his opportunity to head to Earth. I think that'd be a quality idea. And then that's kind of a complete lead up to and fills in the gaps for Bumblebee. And then, yeah, it's a film where I don't know, they've got to go to Cybertron for some reason or another. Fine.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think they mention how Prime gets off Cybertron. If memory serves me right, in Bumblebee, they all eject, and then near the end, when the or when he goes to Earth and the hologram comes out, it's his message, and then it shows a flashback, doesn't it, of basically all the Decepticons piling on him.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. But we never get to see how he gets to Earth.
No, and that's what I'm saying. There's still that element. You could do a film all revolving around that. I'd have no issue with that whatsoever. But it would be a fully animated film, wouldn't it? Computer.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah,
as long as it's photorealistic, as in the film. But talking about photorealistic, going back to Rise of the Beasts, I have to raise I was going to raise it earlier when we was talking about it. When they're walking through the water in the jungle,
yeah,
and you've got the human guy walking through, and you've got the robots beside. If you watch it on a second viewing, just look at the water around the robots, the water that is being kicked up by the Transformers. It doesn't look good. Not very good CGI there at all.
Okay, no, I do remember you saying about that stuff. I don't remember. I mean, maybe I wasn't looking at those finer details, but I wouldn't be, as I think we mentioned at the very beginning, like, it seems that Hollywood, I mean, like, probably like the first Avatar on it. I know you're not the biggest Avatar fan, but like, they put time and effort and to create these masterpieces, and now a lot more people can do it. It's like, well, I haven't got to produce this masterpiece. I just have to produce an okay piece because everyone can do it now. Or maybe yeah.
That's how it feels. That's how it feels. Backward step for CGI.
Mm.
Like I said, the Flash, it looks appalling. Some of the effects in it look hideous. They do. There's not to spoil it. I don't want to spoil it, but there's scenes where they CGI characters' faces, and there's a very uncanny valley look to these people. It just does. It looks off, completely off. I can't say anymore.
Okay.
When you've seen it, we'll have a proper discussion.
Oh. No, that's cool. I think I'm running out of stuff to say now.
That's cool. We can wrap it up.
Yeah. I mean, if you want, I mean, obviously we've still got one viewer in. I'm not quite. I assume it's just Matt, or it might be Luke. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching. If you're watching at this time, if you're watching on catch up, we do appreciate it. Obviously, as we normally do, please, if there is something you want us to mention, talk about, or for the next episode, please do let us know, and we shall do our best.
What are your before you go? What are your thoughts on the next one?
Oh, I don't know. Something like I don't have to watch every single movie back in like a week. I'm like, I need to plan better. I don't know. I honestly.
All right, we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. People can throw some suggestions. Maybe we'll talk about it in London. Maybe we'll get Matt's input on it. But yeah, I'm sure there's something we can come up with.
I'm sure.
Cool.
But yeah,
otherwise, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.